Yo, Bash, you been tripping on them hoes. Yo, Bash, you been tripping on them hoes.
Burn, 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 burn. Burn live, y'all. Marijuanically keeping y'all connected. Hashtagging these red eyes, changing the viewers' eye red, keeping underage, smoking out social media, killing ourselves for your entertainment. Burn live, burn live, burn live. What's up, y'all? What's up, y'all? Burn live, like I said, y'all. Marijuana keeping y'all connected with politics and news. Hashtagging these red eyes, changing the viewers' eye red, keeping underage, smoking off social media, killing myself for your entertainment, sitting here with friends and family across the world in the United States of America, killing myself for your entertainment, sitting here with friends and family throwing a cannabisation. Welcome to an early. I'm live 30 minutes earlier than normal time because I just couldn't wait. I just couldn't sit here and wait and sit back and just wait for a whole another 30 minutes to go live when I was really ready to go. I was ready to go. I was ready to get back on here. I was ready to get back to the receipts and to the conversation. You see it in the title, man. Y'all see what I put in the subscription. I'm mad at you. I'm mad at you, black and white people, you know what I'm saying? Because we are letting America get away with turning us into one of the weakest countries in the world, man. We did a lot of stats. We looked up a lot of numbers yesterday. It was a pretty interesting show of learning what to expect from America, what we're going through, what is being shown, what we're accepting. What do you accept here in America and what you don't accept here in America? Put down in the comments. Let me know what you accept and what you don't accept. There's a lot of things going on. Are you okay with everything that's going on? Are you okay with the teaching in school? Are you okay with the grooming? Are you okay that we spent $15 million on transgender sexuality, sex change in America paid for by taxpayers' money? These are things that I wonder, are you okay for? We smoking weed up here, y'all. We smoke weed. Like I said, this is the Marijuana Podcast. I stream every day. It's Saturday. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever time you're watching this. I appreciate everybody coming in here. I appreciate everybody commenting on this. I appreciate everybody liking the button, subscribing to this, hitting that like button, and all that good stuff. But what do y'all tolerate? What do y'all put up with? What is y'all expectation in life when it comes to just you and what do you expect your surroundings? I know a lot of people out there are just looking at some of these situations like it got nothing to do with me. I chuckle because I can probably look up a bunch of articles where people are trying to literally say that it doesn't concern them. Sure. But that beat got me just rocking, y'all. I know that I do play beats in the background in my beginning, especially in the intro when I'm getting ready. When you're hearing that music, y'all know I'm about to come. I try to play a little music live before I go on to give people time to get the notification. Go find something like, oh man, he about to come on. He got to come right on. Play a little music, get y'all entertained and stuff before I go live. Man, are we really ready for our government to really take over? Are y'all really ready for that? Is climate change a big problem in America? Are we really going to say that us driving on the highway every day is fucking up that area? Are we really going to say that? Israel is under attack. I'm literally just saying right. Christianity is attacking Israel. No, that ain't got nothing to do with America. I know that doesn't have nothing to do with America, but stories like this in the land of the free, we talking about Israel, y'all. Israel supposed to be one of the grandpappy places to be. You know what I'm saying? If you don't think Israel is one of the one of the holiest places in the world to be, you're slightly tripping. So let's see what's going on, y'all. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever you're getting into this, whenever you're watching this. I appreciate this. Appreciate you watching it. Appreciate people watching this 2 days later, 3 days later, maybe a week later. Appreciate it. Let's get into this.
Thank you so much for joining us for CBN News Watch. I'm Ephraim Graham. Ahead today, Christians attacked in Israel. We're going to bring you the story of an assault at a worship event in Jerusalem and how other Israelis are reacting to concern about violence. FBI Director Christopher Wray under fire from Republicans on Capitol Hill as they ask if the Bureau is being politicized and protecting the Biden family. We'll hear his response. Some good news for your wallet as inflation is falling, but is a recession on the way? We're going to take a look. And the hit film Sound of Freedom has brought the issue of child sex trafficking front and center. We're going to hear from the man known as the machine gun preacher about fighting trafficking in Africa and why it's also such a problem right here in the United States. All those stories and more today on CBN News Watch.
This is CBN News Watch.
Let's begin this half hour in Israel amid growing concerns about violence against Christians. Recently, for at least the second time in a month, a number of ultra-Orthodox Jews publicly confronted Christians and Messianic believers. The most recent happened outside a Hebrew worship event in Jerusalem. As CBN Middle East correspondent Julie Stahl reports, this time the hostility also led to physical attacks.
Inside the King of Kings congregation, some 800 people recently attended 2 concerts of Hebrew worship songs.
It was a night of worship and singing through the scriptures, singing through the Psalms. Everyone was invited, and we were very upfront about what this event was. That was important to us, that all of the people attending knew exactly what they were coming to through the purchase of tickets well before the event.
But outside, something else was going on.
So as the worshipers were trying to come in, the protesters would block them. They would get in their way. They would physically put their hands on them, put their body on them.
Senior pastor Chad Holland told CBN News protesters verbally and physically attacked those trying to attend the concert sponsored by the Messianic Jewish Alliance of Israel.
Several people that got harmed, they got accosted. We were being told of several people who got hurt.
I see Jews here too, not just Christians.
In addition to that, there was quite a loud noise-making group, and eventually this group of protesters, and we might even say violent protesters, grew to between 80 and 100 people.
While Holland commended police for bringing order, he felt more could have been done to prevent the situation.
We want to say thank you to the police. They did such a good job. They were so brave and courageous. All we would want is for the police to take it more seriously early on, to send more police early so we could avoid this whole event altogether.
Protesting always lead to, okay, let me rephrase that. Majority of protesting damn near leads to some type of violence somehow. I don't know what triggers protesting and violence. I just testosterone, too many people around, men sizing up each other, thinking that, hey, you know, he's weak, I can take him down. Things of that nature is the reason for, I believe, protesting doesn't work. It's always crazy. You got people rioting the streets. I do believe in France over a kid getting killed by, he was joyriding in a car and got killed because he was almost ran over a police officer. So you got protesting and rioting in the streets. You also got this over here in Israel too. It's not a good look when you're protesting and then other people come and interrupt it. I don't care who you are, Black Lives Matter, any group out there. That's why I just don't believe in protesting. Protesting has never proved anything
One
to
of
nobody.
Jerusalem's deputy mayors, Aryeh King, stood behind and supported the protesters, which included many teenagers and young men. Others cheered them on from above.
It's people who have a very warped view of what the Christian community is. They feel that most of the Christians in Jerusalem are there missionizing young Jews. I've tried to explain to them many times that that's not the case.
Another Jerusalem deputy mayor, Fleur Hassan Nahum, told CBN News she and other leaders tried to convince King what he was doing was wrong.
It was very negative, incendiary. The mayor condemned it, half the city council condemned it, and told him to his face that all he was doing is inciting hatred.
While she says the group is small, Hassan Nahum is still concerned about the violence against Christians.
You see the
I
pushing.
would like to think
You see
that
the
we do our
push. You
utmost
see
to
people
protect all
upset. You see
minorities.
people
I've been involved
trying to
in
run
the
and get out the
campaign
way.
to
That is
get,
not what we want.
rabbis.
That is not what you want when you're looking at just speaking out and like, okay, these people really want their voice here. Just like over here in America with the LGBTQ and the violence that's incentive on them. They protest. I have nothing wrong with the protesting. What I got wrong with is when they protest, where is the actual reports to back up their allegations? That's what I would like to see to help us grow as a community. So I'm like, okay, this is what's going on. Cool. All right, let's go. Let's better ourselves to move forward. And if we can move forward, then we know where we're going. You know what I'm saying? If we don't know where we're going, then our protesting is going to lead to rioting and things that are happening right now.
To condemn any type of violence or protests. So it's not the mainstream, and it's not even the mainstream Orthodox, and it's not even the mainstream national religious. It's a small marginal group, a few bad apples that ruin the basket.
Phaedra Shapiro, who heads the Israel Center for Jewish-Christian Relations, sees it as democracy in action.
It was clear that the police were protecting the rights of concert goers. I mean, this is still a democratic country, and that includes the democratic right to protest, so long as it doesn't harm law and order.
On the other hand, she's concerned about the growing dispute.
There is a growing polarization in Israel, and that really has nothing much to do with Jews and Christians, and everything to do with politics and a certain sector that feels emboldened to act in increasingly undemocratic and sometimes brutal ways.
While Israelis may be sensitive to the idea of missionary activity, Shapiro believes those who would protest a Christian event are relatively few. She also feels Israelis should turn their energies elsewhere.
I think that our mission as Jews in Israel, it seems to me, needs to be building a vibrant Jewish identity among our people and not protesting a music concert.
Holland emphasized that there was no intent to evangelize. He says what happened exposed people's hearts.
Worshippers were coming for one heart of love for God, love for one another, and the protesters had a different heart motive, and they didn't seem to care if someone was a man, a woman, a grown person, a child, an elderly person, or a baby. They didn't seem to care. They were going to promote this violence, make this noise, and again, we believe they were just grossly misinformed about what the whole event was.
The musical evening has been an event for years. Holland says he hopes next time they can come up with a way to make it just that. Julie Stahl, CBN News, Jerusalem.
Coming up, a contentious hearing in Congress with some Republicans accusing the FBI of using its resources for political purposes and asking if the Bureau is protecting the Biden family, while Democrats say Republicans are trying to protect former President Donald Trump. We're going to have that story for you when we come back.
This democracy that we call America, that's playing with FBI's times and money and budgets, which, you know, we as American people don't even like the FBI. We don't like the CIA. We really don't even deal with those entities for real, unless you truly drug trafficking or kid trafficking in your town and state or wherever you're from. Just being honest with you, just putting it out there. These things, these stories like this that we come across every day, where the FBI for what 3 years went after a person, and we heard every collusion, every possibility. Uh, he got indicted over it, and then to come 3 years later, almost 4 years later, to say that they had nothing, no evidence, nothing to search this man. And now, in the same token, we found weed. Well, they found 20 bags of weed and 1 thing of cocaine in the White House. And all of a sudden, nobody's convicted. Nobody. Everybody walks free. So the question is if the FBI are we using the FBI for our own personal gain and just try to make what YouTube coverage?
Republicans faced off against FBI Director.
You gotta watch the story and watch these stories. Damn white people, damn black people. You see it.
Christopher Wray on Capitol Hill Wednesday,
it right
grilling him
here.
over allegations of politicizing the Bureau and bias against conservatives. Wray pushed back, highlighting the good work of the FBI and its dedication to public service. Caitlin Burke brings us this story.
We heard two very different messages coming from lawmakers on the House Judiciary Committee. Republicans listing off grievances with the FBI, and Democrats listing off grievances with their Republican colleagues.
American speech is censored. Parents are called terrorists. Catholics are called radicals.
In his opening remarks, committee chair Jim Jordan repeatedly accused the FBI of using their resources for political purposes. Claims FBI Director Christopher Wray forcefully denied.
My expectation for all of our investigations, repeatedly communicated to all of our people, and this is especially important in sensitive investigations, is that our folks take great pains to be rigorous, professional, objective, following all our policies and procedures, and do the work in the right way.
Republicans repeatedly brought up the Hunter Biden investigation.
Are you protecting the Bidens?
Absolutely not. The FBI
Well, you
does
won't
not
answer the
and has
question.
no
Hold on.
interest in
You won't answer the
protecting.
question.
That's the problem that we be seeing. I hope they're not going to break it down more. Is selective answering when it comes to politicians and people that we put in these offices and in these positions of power. They also trying to say that hey, everybody in Congress needs to be drug tested. Everybody out there needs to be drug tested.
Question about whether or not that's a shakedown, and everybody knows why you won't answer it.
Democrats, meanwhile, accused Republicans of using the oversight hearing to protect former President Trump and return him to the White House.
Welcome to the legislative arm of the Trump re-election campaign.
Some members of the GOP have called for the FBI to be defunded, a decision Wray said would be disastrous for not only the 38,000 law enforcement personnel who make up the Bureau, but also for American citizens.
We would have hundreds more violent criminals out on the street, dozens more violent gangs terrorizing communities, hundreds more child predators on the loose, hundreds more kids left at those predators' mercy instead of being rescued, scores of threats from the Chinese Communist Party being left unaddressed.
Representative Ken Buck, a Republican from Colorado, questioned Wray over how his bureau can protect Americans while doing a better job of respecting their civil liberties. Buck brought up concerns with the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, or FISA, specifically when the FBI has used it to monitor Americans without probable cause.
I fear that we are going to overcorrect on FISA in Congress, that we are going to take away some tools that are necessary because there is a trust factor here that's missing.
We've implemented a whole series of reforms, a lot of the public commentary about our failures. And let's be clear, we have had problems, and those problems are unacceptable, and I'm determined with my leadership team to fix them. But those problems almost entirely predate those reforms, even though some of them have just come out.
Overall, Republicans did not appear to be satisfied with Wray's responses and are expected to push for further reforms within the Bureau. Caitlin Burke, CBN News, Washington.
Also in Washington Wednesday, a plea.
So we know the FBI, basically, y'all, I'm just gonna put it on out there because I know y'all don't get it and y'all don't probably care. So the FBI is used right now as a pawn for both sides. Both sides will want to point fingers at each other. The Republicans and Democrats want to point fingers at each other, and we're gonna point fingers at each other. We're gonna point fingers at the FBI because nobody's gonna hold nobody accountable. Therefore, we can go back and forth. Nobody gets in trouble. We look good on television. You see what I'm saying? You see what I'm getting to? Everybody looks good on television because we're pointing fingers at somebody and we're getting questioned. They're getting questioned, but nothing's getting done. So therefore, who's to blame, who's fault for it. But let's show the people that it's getting done. That's literally what we're looking at. Literally what you're looking at is we're doing our job, so chill out. If you don't like it, here's these clips, here's these shows, and here's these stuff that you can showing us that we're doing our job.
On behalf of persecuted Christians at a hearing on religious freedom. New Jersey Congressman Chris Smith, alongside a pastor who led more than 60 Chinese Christians out of China.
This is really a day of great celebration, but it's also an appeal to Xi Jinping and to the UN and to the government here and governments of all democracies to speak out on behalf of religious freedom. This persecution has got to stop.
The story of the Chinese congregation known as the Mayflower Church is one of faith and perseverance. Congressman Smith worked with the pastor of the Shenzhen Holy Reformed Church to find asylum in America after they fled China to South Korea and then Thailand before heading to a new home, which is now in Tyler, Texas. Some positive news for your wallet on inflation, now rising at the lowest annual rate in more than 2 years. But the economy is not out of the woods, as a recession could still be on the way. Mark Martin has this story.
The latest report from the Bureau of Labor Statistics shows inflation is continuing to drop. Prices rising at a 3% rate, the slowest pace in 2 years. That's thanks in part to lower gas prices, airline fares, grocery costs, and even cheaper used cars. The Consumer Price Index shows price increases easing a year after inflation spiked to its highest level in 4 decades. The inflation rate is down from a 4% annual rate in May. Experts say that means wages are now finally rising faster than prices. Although prices are rising slower, shoppers can still expect some sticker shock compared to pre-pandemic levels.
I mean, they're literally trying to tell us that job raises is moving faster than prices on meat, where you see $6.99 for some fucking $7.84. You paying over $5. Everything you touch in the store, you're paying over $5 for everything. It's 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50 when you're going shopping now. You hear a little $3.99, a little $4.99, but that's $4. You're literally paying $5 for everything in a damn grocery store these days. Stop playing. Like, really, really look at it, y'all. I know y'all like whatever, but looking at the statistics and looking at stuff like that, yeah, bro, you're only paying. Come on now. I'm not playing.
Prices are still rising for the most part, but they're rising at a slower rate. That is still an obstacle for consumers. You think about building off this ever higher base. I mean, that's a really big deal for bigger ticket items like rent. Shelter costs are actually driving about 70% of that monthly inflation increase. So that's still a real trouble spot.
Plus, prices are still above the Federal Reserve's 2% target. Economists are keeping their eyes on whether this trend continues through the summer. E.J. Anthony of the Heritage Foundation weighed in on CBN's Faith Nation.
Unfortunately, inflation is settling at 3%. It has been trending down, but if you look at the monthly increases over the last year, what you find is that 3% has essentially become the new baseline. In other words, there's no sign that we're going any lower from here on out. There's no sign that we're going to get to that 2% target of the Federal Reserve.
And as far as a potential recession, Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen says it's not completely off the table. Antony expressed his concern.
I don't think there's a way out of this without a recession. You can't spend, borrow, and print trillions upon trillions of dollars and not expect any negative consequences. I'm not sure when we forgot that.
Another question is if the decline will affect the Fed's policy of hiking interest rates to bring down inflation. While economists say it appears those hikes are helping, they're still putting the squeeze on Americans trying to pay down credit cards or buy a home or a car. Mark Martin, CBN News.
Still ahead, fighting sex trafficking of children. We're going to hear from the man known as the Machine Gun Preacher about how he's rescuing children in Africa, as well as why the U.S. is one of the worst countries in the world for child trafficking. We're going to have the story for you next.
Didn't I say all of this? There's just more reports, more reports. I know a lot of people are finna turn away and don't want to see stuff like that, but listen, it's true. You know what I'm saying? And this is what that movie was supposed to do. Shed a light on predators and people and let them not get away with calling themselves.
Sound of Freedom is drawing much needed attention
what
to
they
the
call
global
themselves?
human trafficking
People
crisis.
of
It's a
young, I forgot the title.
$150 billion per year criminal industry affecting 25 million people worldwide. Appearing on this week's episode of The Global Lane, a man known as the Machine Gun Preacher, American missionary Sam Childers explains why after more than 25 years, he's still rescuing children from traffickers in East Africa.
You know, I believe it's a serious problem around the world. Africa has a lot of problem going on, mainly because of the rebels in the bush. But here in America, we got a serious problem going on with it. I will say the president of Uganda, if you get caught molesting children, you get caught raping children, whatever, you're in a serious problem, could even be sentenced to death immediately. So the child trafficking within Uganda, it's there, but mainly out around the borders. South Sudan can be a problem. Sudan can be a problem. Any country that has war going on where there's rebel leaders and rebels there fighting, yes, there's a serious traffic problem going on.
And of course, you rescued children from the Lord's Resistance Army and Joseph Kony. Now it's the DRC. Tell us what's happening to children in the DRC.
You know, you have ISIS there, you have Islamic State, and you have ADF. Those people have teamed up together. And so there's a lot going on. You know, it wasn't but a year or two ago, ISIS put off a couple bombs inside of Uganda, in the capital city of Kampala.
Yeah, a year and a half ago, we talked to you about that,
Absolutely.
right?
So there's some major things going on. But ISIS, we need to realize that ISIS is a problem around the world. And the big thing with ISIS is if you have your borders open like we do in America, you need to realize they're around us. You know, I don't want to scare anyone, but they are around us. So ISIS is a problem. Now I'm working in an area called Banjibujo. It's right on the border of Congo and Uganda. We're there rescuing children, child soldiers. We're still there doing the same work that we've done for 25 plus years now in East Africa.
How bad is it, though, Sam? Does it compare to the LRA and what they did with children?
You know, I'm going to say no. It is in the Congo. I am not within the Congo working. I'm still on the border of Uganda. There's some serious problems going on. We know there was just recently a school was just raided, and
it was 38 children.
Yeah,
And the girls, if you remember correctly, what they did with the girls is they hacked them to death with machetes while they were asleep in beds. The boys, they locked into a dormitory and set it on fire.
So where our farm is in northern Uganda, we're building a school, we're building a church, we're building a new marketplace, and we're building a big dormitory to bring those children into that area that's rescued out of that war in the Congo.
And it isn't only Africa. The United States ranks as one of the worst child trafficking countries in the world. Also on the Global Lane this week, Jessica Vaughn, director
One of the worst. Y'all, I'm just wondering, y'all thinking how I'm thinking. You know, with all these groomers and people that are grooming each other, you know what I'm saying? We're trafficking our own kids and don't even know it. We're grooming our own kids and don't even see it. And some of us are allowing it in school. And as soon as you hear it, you're like, okay, I'm mad about it, but you're not going to the school and stopping it. You're not protesting like you're seeing these people out here protesting about this, truly trying to shut it down. And that's okay. Take a deep breath and you be like, man, one day it's gonna be okay. But then you like, no, it's not gonna be okay because we have to fight. We gotta fight.
Peace. So you think that out
Let me just play this real quick, y'all, for you.
Chess only a word in the ghetto? Interesting. Hi, Chase. This you. I mean, you are Chase Lewis of Chase Lewis Music of the food stamps, right? As in Tyler Childers and the food stamps. Tyler Childers, the very openly and vocally anti-racist country Americana folk singer. Yet here you are getting caught white-handed, being racist. Are you secretly clowning Tyler when he's singing, I'm all yours, you're all man? Is yourn only a word in the trailer park? You are gonna sit here and try to clown out ya as if y'all don't say cheer? Boy, stop! The last people on earth who should be clowning Black English are white Southerners. Because inasmuch as prescriptivism is inherently racist, it is also classist. And the same folk who call me ghetto will turn right around and call you hick, a hillbilly, a country bumpkin. Yes, when it comes to linguicism, white privilege is a thing. But country white folk, you might get by, but you won't get away. What goes around, comes around. We out, y'all. Peace. So you think
It'd be interesting what he be going through and what people be putting up in his comments. That's why I had to play it. It'd be very, very interesting and some things. There's a lot of ways to get money. I know a lot of people have been hearing about Bitcoins and trying to invest into Bitcoins. Probably don't know what Bitcoins really truly is and how it looks.
Crypto price warning.
Yeah, I heard it in the background. That's, you know. Let's learn some shit.
China, Biden, and the Fed could be about to destroy all value of Bitcoin. Okay, so let's see if this is just a propaganda, if there's any credibility to this story. With CBDC, Bitcoin price has doubled since November, reaching around $30,000 per Bitcoin. Despite criticism and negative declarations, Texas Senator Ted Cruz has warned that central bank digital currencies inspired by Bitcoin and digital currencies could destroy all value of Bitcoin and undermine its anonymity and decentralization. China is currently leading the way with the digital yuan, which some see as giving governments unprecedented power to surveil and control citizens. Cruz introduced legislation to prevent the creation of a digital dollar, saying the U.S. government has no authority to unilaterally establish a central bank currency. He added that those who want a CBDC.
Now, that's amazing that the Republican is saying that Ted Cruz is saying that the government has no authority controlling American people's money and seeing every dollar that we make. Do you hear any Democrats saying that? Actually, you do. Actually, you do. So I don't see why, like this, if this is true and this is a problem, why we're not sticking together on both sides to fix this. This should be an easy fix of shutting Joe Biden down and China down and whoever's up with this.
CBDC, this like cash because it is not subjected to centralized control and constant surveillance, which is a key feature of digital currencies. Despite his concerns about CBDC, Cruz remains incredibly bullish on Bitcoin, calling it clearly the alpha in the current crypto sphere. Are you just as concerned about this as Senator Cruz is?
Every time a politician wants to ban guns, there's an explosion in demand to buy guns, right? And so talk about CBDCs really as a marketing event that causes everyone to think about a world where they don't own their own money. And that makes them think, well, what kind of money could I acquire that I would own? And the most censorship-resistant monetary network in the world is Bitcoin. So interest in CBDCs is just going to drive more feverish interest in Bitcoin. It's actually driving awareness, and Bitcoin is growing as people become more aware that they need something which is non-sovereign, store of value, nation state resistant. So, and
basically saying that America is finally starting to invest in gold and pictures and watches, things of value. You are starting to see that because we are learning that the paper dollar is starting to be worth nothing. As you see right in front of our faces, they're trying to get rid of it. They're trying to turn it into electric so they can control us. Basically, why people can't speak in terms like that so everybody across the board pick up more viewers, or do we have to really sound intelligent so we can undermine so everybody don't comprehend what's going on? Everybody don't get it, and then some people like, man, that's boring talk. That's fucking boring talk.
if there's hyperinflation, people want Bitcoin. That's why they are thinking about Bitcoin in Argentina or in Nigeria or anywhere in Africa right now. If there's moderate inflation, people that are sensitive to it will go for Bitcoin, and then the people that think the inflation will go away will look at it as an oddity. But money is it's a store of value, a unit of account, a medium of exchange, and then there's a fourth characteristic that we don't talk about. It's the thing that's not said. It's a system of control. So certain monies are easier to control than others. For example, we talk about gold as money, but you ever try to carry a gold bar through an airport?
Very heavy.
Try it next time. They won't let you through, right? In fact, if you tried to carry $100,000 of gold through an airport, not only would you not get through, but the assumption would be you're a criminal, you stole the gold, and they would just take it and keep it without a court order. Now, try to...
Shocking. You worked hard for your gold, and you're like, fuck it, I don't want no dollars because the white the white man on the government taking it from you. You put it in you want to travel with it. You probably can travel with a bar this big, and they're gonna take it with it, no court order. Y'all telling me that's crazy, and he's telling you. Things are true when, I hate to say this, but things are true when white folks telling it to other white folks. There ain't no black people around, and they trying to put each other up on game. Now we trying to put each other up on game on the internet. That's the beautiful thing about YouTube and the internet and all of social media, is those that trying to put each other up on game. That's what we trying to do. That's it.
Carry $100,000 of cash through the airport. You ever try that? Put it in a bag and just, you can put it in a bag, and as you're walking through the TSA check or the X-ray machine, just nonchalantly say to the officer, yeah, I'm carrying $100,000 of money onto the airplane, right? You won't get through. Now, not only will you not get through, they'll just take your money, right? They'll just take it, and the assumption will be you stole it. Okay. So cash is a unit of control. Now, put $100,000 in a bank and try to wire it to someone, or just take it out and they're going to ask you why. Tell them it's none of their business. Try to send it to someone privately. Tell them you just want to send it to a numbered Swiss bank account, right? See how that works. That won't work, right? That's a system of control. A couple of stable coins have been getting shut down. Paxos's BUSD got a Wells notice. They got shut down. And Custodia tried to launch a bank, and they wanted to issue AVITs. AVITs were digital dollars, and they were digital dollars that were going to circulate on crypto networks. And the regulators denied that banking license. And it's about a 70-page denial letter, very articulate. And I read it all. I read thousands. I read all of the crypto legislation and all of the crypto litigation. So if you dig into that denial letter, which is very well written and articulate, what is very clear is that the regulators say we're not going to allow the bank to form because we don't want someone to issue digital dollars that will circulate on crypto networks non-KYC. Evading our our anti-money laundering rules, our anti-terrorism rules, our know your customer rules. So it's clear that the regulators reject with prejudice the idea that you can circulate large sums of dollars without.
This is not against black or whites. This is just against pure people. Pure people. I just want to put that out there. No race. Pure people. Rich, poor, middle class, no color, whatever color. Yeah, I said it, no color, just in case you see through.
Without reporting that. Now, that's a political football, right? Because a lot of people in this country think that you should own your own money and you should have financial privacy and you ought to be able to do what you want with your money. There's another group of people that don't agree, right? Ted Cruz is on the side of freedom. You ought to own your own money. Now, it turns out that if your money's in a bank, you're not going to be able to circulate it freely. It's controlled. And on the other hand, Bitcoin is the one network you can't control. Ted Cruz's famous line is, I like Bitcoin for the same reason the Chinese don't like it. They can't control it. Nobody can control Bitcoin. So if you're insecure about being able to own your own money, do you own it? And can you actually use it without asking somebody's permission? Then the solution is not gold. It's not silver coins. It's not stacks of cash. It's not money in a bank in the US. It's certainly not money in a bank in Lebanon, Argentina, anywhere in Africa. Those banks won't let you take your money out of the bank. Go look at Nigeria, $42 a day. That's how much you can take out of the bank. They're keeping.
My niggas, anybody want to go to Africa? Because you only taking out $42 a day when you spend it, especially if you make a bank. Wow. So you really have to think about, when you're thinking about investing in, and I actually know people that's thinking about investing into other countries, you really have to look at the fine print and break down the silicals, the centimeters, the millimeters of what a contract is, just so you make sure that you can get your money or spend your money the way you need it. You're trying to build Airbnb is a global thing that's trying to pop off in Africa with outsiders. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people in Africa do the gold rush, and they're trying to. If you actually see some updated pictures, like really go look up Africa, you see skyscrapers and some beautiful highways and things like that. Don't get it twisted. But the cost of transporting out there in Africa and other countries, I just know about Africa because I just seen a report recently. is, you know what I'm saying, very expensive. You know what I'm saying? I personally would love to do business with Africa. I would love to find some business, some way to do trade, and, you know what I'm saying, give back to Africa. Don't get it twisted. You know what I'm saying? Better than other countries out there that you can choose from. But, you know, Africa has their bad points too. You know what I'm saying? They have their good points. What you see right here in this money situation is going bad because we're voting the government into doing things that is not realistic to help us and you out. You heard Tom Cruise is about free money, building your own money. They're about controlling money. And it sounds like both sides, not just the Democrat and just not the Republican. It really does sound like both sides. So you really need to be careful here on out, especially with technology getting faster and just like I'm gonna try it out soon. I'm really gonna put a project together and ask my team. We're gonna try this AI out and see if we can generate a revenue for us, and we're gonna listen to the AI and see what it does. I really been sitting here plotting and thinking about that project and see if I could put it together. Okay. Also, you really, 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 really need to start investing into the land.
Your money. So the one network that you have that gives you a decent chance of owning your own money and then being able to spend it the way you want is Bitcoin. So I'm not worried about Bitcoin. I do think that there'll be a massive political fight over CBDCs. There's a technical challenge. Our government doesn't know how to issue a CBDC. We don't know how to issue digital currency. The people that are issuing digital dollars are the cryptocurrency people, right? You know, Paxos knows how to issue a digital dollar, right? And the regulators sent him a Wells notice saying, shut it down. So the private market knows how to issue digital dollars. The government doesn't. The EU doesn't. The feds don't. And so even if they wanted to, they can't technically right now without somebody else's help. But as long as Congress is split, right, it seems to me quite clear there's a large faction, by the way, on the Democratic and the Republican side. I mean, Robert F. Kennedy, I don't think is in favor of a CBDC, nor is Ron DeSantis in favor of a CBDC. So there are a lot of free-thinking politicians in both parties that are adamantly against having a system of control where the government can decide how you know, it used to be $10,000 was the cutoff of the report, right? It used to be you had to report when you wired $10,000, and that was back when $10,000 was worth something, right? It used to be, I think it dates back, what, 30, 50 years or something? So it used to be $10,000 was a lot of money, and then they kept the $10,000 limit, and inflation creeped up, and pretty soon $10,000 is not nearly so much money. And what we're seeing is an encroachment of that, where now people are starting to lobby for the government to get a report on everything spent more than $600, and they lower the number.
But who is supportive of that? I mean, right now, if you look at Federal Reserve, here's a tweet from Ron DeSantis you were talking about. April 7, the Federal Reserve has made no decision on issuing a central bank digital currency and would not do so without clear support from Congress and executive branch, ideally in a form of a specific authorizing law. A CBDC would not replace cash or other payment options. And then DeSantis at the top says it is not merely ideal that major changes in policy receive specific authorization from Congress. It is constitutionally required. Unaccountable institutions cannot impose a CBDC on Americans. They will tell CBDC won't be abused, but we are wise enough to know better. This wolf comes as a wolf. Michael, the question I'm asking is this whole thing with 600. Forget about the politicians that want it. We understand why they would want it. You can control and see what people are doing. What average voter wants to vote for this? Who the average American that would say, I'm okay with this?
I'm sure the overwhelming majority of the population is adamantly against it. And I would say a decent majority of politicians are against it, but there is a fringe wing that wants to impose control over everybody, and they don't trust anybody. And you know, heck, at some point they would probably like to see how you spend $50, and that's the control freaks in the political sphere. You know, politicians have shown themselves quite capable of interfering in your private affairs, and the last 3 years have shown anything. They've shown that people can come up with some justification to tell you how many people can sit at your dinner table on Thanksgiving, right? And so there'll be some of them. I don't think that politically it's going to fly in the near term. And in the next 2 to 4 years, I don't see consensus at the political level to impose a CBDC. But I think it's like that persistent boogeyman where people say, "Oh, it's coming," and the result is
it's gonna come, y'all. And when it comes, it's gonna be under a law and bill that you're not paying attention. They're gonna sweep it under the rug. It's gonna look something different. We're not gonna be able to pay attention to what it is, and that's how they're gonna bring it to us. You know, politicians, especially Democrats now, they love switching up the bill. I personally just went through looking at a stadium bill get passed here in Nevada, and it had the nerve to have SB1 on it. It has nothing to do with stadium. Oakland A's coming here. You see what I'm saying? So when bills are getting passed, they're always going to put it up under letters or abbreviations that you're not really truly familiar, that you got to really remember and know. And y'all living day-to-day lives is not trying to sit up here like, okay, man, I got to remember SBS 162. No, I got to remember CBD 223. Yes. You see what I'm saying? It's a lot of different codes that you got to remember and try to think about when you go to voting. And the government and people in higher places know that y'all are too busy to want to break that down and see how that goes. We all know that. And that's sad that we don't have the time to want to take out to do that. And I think that's the problem. And like I said to my peoples when I found out, and I'm going to keep going back to this, when we find out that the military is weak. We find out that the military is weak. That's a problem. When you find out that little kids don't appreciate America, and when you hear the parents admitting, "Oh yeah, my kids don't care about America, don't give a shit." It stings, because you know that in the future, our future, America is going to be easily able to take over, because a lot of people are not going to care about the military. People are not going to care about this country and what's going on and how we react to another country try to take us over, period. You see what I'm saying? And if you don't, then I'm sorry. You know what I'm saying? But that's what I see. It's really starting from weakening mind in the man, and then putting in the laws, and then now we trying to put it into commercials, into Walmarts and Targets and stuff like that. Man, if all of that stuff would have sold, they probably would have took down the red, white, and blue and put up the flag and be like, "Come get us." That was the flag to come get us. That's the flag to come get us. Y'all probably don't like that, but that's how it looks. Like, hey, we don't care. I ain't trying to make fun of nobody. I'm sorry. I need to understand that certain things is going to be strengthened. Certain things is going to be able to accommodate for us as Americans. Don't take our dollar away. Don't take my freedom of speech away. Take some of, if we want to do cuts, let's take some of these budget cuts. Let's listen to everybody, both sides, and see what's literally right. If people say that things are harmful and they can prove it are harmful, do not say that they are lying and are harmful. Putting our money into digital is harmful. You can't see that. You go to sleep, you wake up, internet's off, the electric's off. You don't know what your money's doing. Anybody think about that? People don't think about that. I think about that. Where people like, well, man, electric off, man, you still got portable chargers. Okay. All right. I don't work at Microsoft and AT&T. Okay. So I know how that industry works from a really work perspective and what they teach a group of people to go inside there and do. I had arguments with employees when we were data collecting on cell phone towers during the Obama administration. Then you looking up that, hey, you can actually look up people's telephone records, and we're looking up telephone records. You see what I'm saying? All of this, and I just jumped around and for this subject, but these subjects actually have a shoestring or a spider web because they all web together. They all come together. And that's why we need to go vote. Hey, I don't like because you voted to put our money all in the web, but you gotta go. You and your whole committee. Sort of like what Trump did. We gotta clean the swamp out. And not racially clean out the swamp. Not okay, because you white and your ancestors was racist back in the day, back in the day, you can't work. No. Oh, let me see if I can find this one report that I did see that I'm gonna share with y'all because it needs to be shared. If I can find it. It shouldn't be too far. I think I just seen it. I think I was just watching it. I think I was just watching it. Maybe I wasn't. Yes, I was.
All right, guys. Hey, so we got to talk about.
Oh, yeah. We got to talk about it. And I think y'all really should hear this one out for real.
Reparations, because reparations is finally happening. Okay, it's happening. Okay, the woke revolutionaries waited for so long, and reparations is finally happening, at least for a very, very, very small amount of people in the woke town of Evanston, Illinois, which is a suburb outside of Chicago that approved over $10 million in reparations that would go to about 140 people. Now, they're going to receive about $25,000 each. And I want you guys to watch this news clip to get a better understanding of what's going on here, because people are saying that this is a blueprint for the United States to give out reparations on a federal level. Take a look.
Is moving forward with a promise to pay reparations to its African-American residents for facing years of discrimination.
Clearly, this is a very controversial issue. Evanston, Illinois set aside $10 million over the next 10 years for the reparations fund. There are a lot of critics who say this is just a government handout. Supporters say it's one step in the fight to address a history of wrong. They want to be a model for the rest of the country. And Nick is here with a closer look. Evanston is the first to do this, right?
They are indeed, Adrian, and it could be a test run for the entire country. Communities throughout the country are keeping a close eye on Evanston, Illinois. That's because the Chicago suburb is doing what they said they were going to do: pay reparations to Black residents that dealt with discrimination decades ago, a move considered by many to be a test run for the entire country. $10 million over the next 10 years. It's the promise the Evanston, Illinois City Council made to its Black residents back in 2019.
Of course, it's not the 40 acres and a mule, but it's a start.
Evanston is the only municipality nationwide that is using a reparations fund to pay Black residents who were discriminated against and faced a lack of access to housing. To qualify, individuals must have lived in the city between 1919 and 1969 and were at least 18 years old.
I'm exceedingly full of joy to see that there are people who are recognizing people of color.
It's a long process, but for those who were approved, they will receive $25,000. Of the 48 reparation recipients so far, some have decided to use that money for home improvements or mortgage assistance. As other cities like St. Paul, Minnesota and Amherst, Massachusetts look to start their own reparations committee, critics argue the reparations payments are simply government handouts.
I've been saying this from day one, that reparations is more than cash payments. And it's unfortunate that that has become a linchpin or a starting point for people who are against it. There's a myriad of other things in reparations.
But in California, a decision to take up recommendations for reparations sits with the state legislature after a reparations task force delivered an 1,100-page report to lawmakers and Governor Gavin Newsom. Included in the document, recommendations for dozens of policy changes and payments of up to $1.2 million to those who are descendants of Black slaves or those who had relatives that arrived before 1900.
The time has come. America must step up. It's not just the well-being of people of African ancestry that is on the line. It is the very heart and soul of this country.
Adrian and Mark, in each of these places where reparations are being considered, questions remain among them. Who will pay for it? And where will the money come from? As for the city of Evanston, they're funding their reparations program through marijuana and real estate transfer taxes. Back to you.
All right, Nick, thanks so much.
Yeah, so you seen that, you heard that, okay? They are funding reparations via marijuana taxes and real estate transfer.
Nigga keep smoking that weed so Black people can get paid. Go on and hit them dispensaries up. Everybody, stop buying from the streets, okay? Don't buy nothing from nobody off the streets. You go right to them dispensaries, you spend that money, because Black people finna get paid. Like I said, this is a blueprint. So like I said, if this works, y'all, this is finna be, unfortunately, amazing. I don't know how y'all want to look at it, but you know what I'm saying? I'm going to finish more details of this.
Taxes. Now, I don't want people to get their hopes up because I'm not in the business of selling people pipe dreams. This is a one-off situation, okay? You only have about 100 and some people that are going to receive this. And there are definitely people that are going to extrapolate a conclusion that, hey, if this town can give out reparations, why can't the United States give out reparations? Well, again, quick math here, okay? We have 40 plus million Black Americans in this country. If you gave all of them $25,000, we're talking about over $1 trillion. Okay, I'm not sure exactly where we're going to get $1 trillion from. I'm not sure if you have enough people that can smoke enough weed to give out $1 trillion to Black people. And in fact,
when he laughed and said that, it made me think that, yes, the weed industry alone is $1 billion industry. Man, everybody is putting their blueprint. People are coming out of poverty. Like I said yesterday, you can't name another country where weed has brought a state that was failing, that was starving, that didn't have no jobs, And once the marijuana got legal in the state started booming. Jobs came back. Houses started getting built. And I'm talking about Denver, Colorado. Okay. Yeah. I don't know what state y'all thought I was talking about. I'm talking about Denver, Colorado. This happened definitely in that state. You can go look at the numbers. You can go look that up. So yes, if reparations came from marijuana and marijuana had to pull out $1 trillion, like, hey man, fuck it. You know what I'm saying? Then you would, if this happens, I'm just saying, if it happens, then you might want to let the feds tax marijuana and let dispensaries deal with banks. It shouldn't be no problem for a dispensary to put their money into a bank and have a good investment. You will have to make that. You know what I'm saying? They're doing it in Chicago. I know people in Chicago like, my money going where? To who? To what? This is going to who? Don't be surprised if some people like, you know what? I think I'm going to just put this down. Don't be shocked. Just as many people put down, some people are going to pick it up too and be like, you know what? I'm helping people get reparations. Hell yeah. Get those reparations. Make me feel like this business right here be smoking weed and talking with you. Marijuana be bringing you the news is paying off.
I mean, it would basically be a transfer from black people to other black people because, a lot of the weed smokers are probably going to be black, right? There'll be white folks and other folks mixing in as well, too. But I'm just saying, I just don't think that this is something that is going to happen at the federal level, okay? But that won't stop people from getting up people's hopes and dreams, even though these people got a deal, in my opinion. And speaking of a deal, I have a deal for you guys that is definitely going to be a lot cheaper for that and for consider consolidation. This is why I have a VPN as features in another cool disconnect Atlas VPN world. For example, Atlas gain actors internet speeds from slowing down while you release. Atlas VPN has a dedicated connect one big deal area in the UK, a conservative author / political commentator, in which he gives the best takedown of reparations that honestly I've ever witnessed. Okay, it really is a thing of beauty because this guy is just speaking straight facts here. I really want to share this because I think that this is probably one of the best arguments against reparation I've ever heard. So without further ado, let's roll the clip.
The problem is we've forgotten how to be genuinely proud of our great countries, both America and United Kingdom, two of the greatest countries in the world. It's almost like every day now, somebody somewhere, normally on the left, the woke left, is queuing up to find a reason to hate the countries and their histories.
Well, I mean, I got to tell you, the UK and the United States are the two greatest countries ever, right? In history, in my opinion, not just today, but just ever, right? And people seem to be very unappreciative of the fact that they have the privilege to be born in these great countries. I mean, in just Western society in general.
Well, it's a kind of grievance competition. Your guest earlier just tried to engage in it. I don't know what hurt she believes she's had from slavery. All of this was addressed 2 centuries ago. Everything has consequences. All history has consequences and ramifications. But, if we were to play this fairly, we would at least look at all of the countries around the world that engaged in the slave trade who are simply not interested in any form of reparations. The Ottoman Empire, all the Arab countries who not just traded far more slaves than across the Atlantic, but castrated all the men so that there wouldn't be any more African slaves after them. They worked them to the bone. I see no interest across Africa in paying reparations for selling their brother and sister Africans into slavery or for work.
Did he say Africa paying reparations for selling their brothers and sisters? I just want y'all to hear that one more time.
Just traded far more slaves than across the Atlantic, but castrated all the men so that there wouldn't be any more African slaves after them. They worked them to the bone. I see no interest across Africa in paying reparations for selling their brother and sister Africans into slavery or for working them to the bone to the present day. There is slavery across Africa today. In fact, there are more slaves in the world today than there were at the height of the transatlantic slave trade. So some of us are simply a bit bored of hearing people ripping at closed wounds and then crying about their hurt or their presumed hurt, because everybody could do this. 1 million Europeans were stolen by North Africans over the course of decades of the North African Barbary pirate slave trade. Where would you end if you did that? The answer is you couldn't end, because nobody is alive who has actually suffered the hurt, and nobody is alive who did the wrong. And I'd make one other point, if I may. It's always the countries that people want to come to who are put through this struggle session. Britain, like America and France, are the most desired destinations for migrants worldwide.
We looked this up yesterday. I looked this up. I promise you, I looked this up yesterday, and it amazes me that America was number one. Number one destinations of people wanting to go. But yet again, why do you love America? I hate America. This is the dumbest, racist, white people, white supremacist place. Then why do so many people want to come here? Over 50 million people want to come here, and that was just this year alone. I looked it up yesterday. I'll never forget that number, because the next number to it was 16. I'm looking around, I'm like, man, that doesn't make sense to me. But I guess it makes sense to y'all. I don't know. I don't get it. I don't get it.
And have been for centuries. Why is that? It's not because we're racist, it's because we're better. It's because we're good. It's because when we see racism, we actually call it out and recognize it as a sin. Try finding that across Africa.
They can't, right? They can't find it in Africa. And that's why a lot of the woke revolutionaries, they want to boohoo whine and cry about how bad America is, and America's a terrible country, and this, that, and the other. They won't go to Africa, right? They won't leave and go and, go to Africa and live among, people that, apparently are not racist. But see, again, they don't understand. They may not necessarily have what we, define as, racism or black versus white racism, but they definitely got tribalism, right? They definitely got tribalism. I mean, and a lot of people have died simply because, hey, they belong to the wrong tribe, a part of the wrong ethnic group or whatever, right? I mean, Rwanda, okay? I mean, we all know what happened with that massacre. There are a ton of them that happened in Africa. And again, I'm telling you, a lot of these people know, right? But again, like, Douglas Murray is saying here, he made a great point. A lot of people are bored, right? They're bored, okay? And again, this is a first world problem, right? Because when you live in a country or countries that are so great, where your life is so good, you don't have anything else to do but to beg for more, right? To say, oh, my life is so bad, and you owe me some money, and blah, 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 right? A lot of these people making money themselves, getting rich, okay, pretending to be victims. Yeah, this is what you get. But again, they won't put their money where their mouth is and actually, go to some of these other countries that they claim is so much better than the United States, where there is no black on white or no white on black racism. They won't do it, right? They won't do it because who knows? They might end up being slaves there, right? Again, I'm just saying. And also the point he made about how whites were enslaved. Not only that, you had Arabs enslaving people. Again, nobody's interested in getting reparations from the Arabs or the Africans, okay? Some of the biggest slave traders on the planet. Again, arguably, they're still the biggest slave traders on the planet. And all these woke revolutionaries that hate slavery so much, they're silent about it, right? They ain't got nothing to say about it. All of a sudden, they're not freedom fighters anymore, right?
Hey man, let's just go get our money. Let's just go get them checks. You know what I'm saying? Let's just go cash them in. We're gonna be all right. You're gonna be okay. All right. That's basically how it's gonna look. Basically how it's gonna look. Let's see.
USA.
Think I'm going out on this note.
And I want to thank our good friend Charlie Kirk for everything that he's done to build Turning Point. It's incredible what he's done in a very short period of time into one of the most powerful grassroots organizations in the entire nation. It's really timing couldn't be better. Do you agree with that? His newest project for mobilizing early voters will be a difference maker in the next election, and it's going to make it a much more difficult job to cheat because we're going to swamp them. You know, when you start swamping them, but they cheat. They'll do anything they can because they don't have policies, open borders, no voter ID, high taxes, high interest rates. The only way they win is by cheating. We're also delighted to be joined by Representatives Matt Gaetz. Where's Matt Gaetz? I love Matt. Where is he? He's great. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Matt. No, I'm glad you stayed, Matt. I'd be very disappointed. Now, he's a great gentleman and a brave man, too. I will tell you that. Ana Paulina Luna. Ana, thank you. Very great job. I watched those speeches. Another man that is going places, and he's going places fast. Spectacular person, friend of mine, Byron Donalds. Byron. Thank you, Byron. I can't miss him. Big and strong.
Was that a black man? Hold on. Wait a minute. Don't be pointing out no black people in your crowd. Byron Donalds. That's my boy.
I can't miss him.
Look at that big black.
A man running as a candidate, Republican candidate. I think he's going to do very well, too. A state that we won by a lot twice, and that's the state of Ohio. We love Ohio, and we love Bernie Moreno. Bernie, where are you, Bernie? Bernie Moreno. Bernie, I hear you're doing well. A man who's gone through hell, but he's kept going, and he's smart, and he's strong, and people love him. Not everybody, but people love him and respect him. Roger Stone. Where's Roger Stone? And another man, I said maybe I shouldn't be introducing him because he's a consumer man. He's not really a political man, but he turned out to be a very good political man. He understands what's happening. And every time I introduce him, he gets a tremendous applause. Mike Lindell. Mike. Good, Mike. He never lets us down. And speaking of fighters, this is a true fighter. This is a real fighter.
That man finna go all through this room and start just complimenting people. That's what's up. Oh, shit. Hold on. We probably actually finna get into this. Let me see what this is about down here.
This is far more important because our country is ready to go down, ready to go possibly into World War III. And this won't be a war like others. This will be a nuclear war. And the level of destruction, it's called obliteration. It's not two army tanks going back and forth, shooting at each other. This is big stuff. And we have a man who's grossly incompetent, who doesn't even know where he is, who can't put two sentences together. And this is the man that's telling us what we're going to be doing. Under Biden, hope and opportunity for young people, so many young people here, are being utterly extinguished. In the Biden economy, 1/3 of Gen Z and millennials have no savings accounts and no saving whatsoever. They have nothing. Home ownership has been pushed out of reach for millions, with the rate of 30-year mortgages up 177% since I left office. And by the way, that's nothing compared to energy, where we were energy independent.
You see how he put up the numbers? This is what's going on. This is the numbers. The consistent with the numbers is what you is what made us believe and want to vote for Trump. I bet you everybody's gonna play like, man, look, you see how he hit you, and the firmness, like, this is what happened, and how he gonna do something about it. As soon as he hits you with a problem, he gonna tell you like how I'm gonna fix it.
Independent. And now you look at what's happened to energy. We're getting our energy from Venezuela. You believe that one? Real wages
See?
collapse.
Telling you where you're getting your energy
26
from.
months in a row. Real wages because of inflation and various other things that are happening. Typical Americans have seen their incomes crushed by $7,400 a year since Biden took office. Think of that each year, $7,400. That comes out of very, very official offices. This is the number, the biggest pay cut in many decades. Nobody's really seen anything like it, I don't believe. Millions of illegal aliens have stormed across our borders. It's an invasion of our country. That's an invasion just like a military invasion. Our rights and our liberties are being torn to shreds, and your country is being turned into a third world hellhole ruled by censors, perverts, criminals, and thugs. But as I stand here tonight, I know that the young conservative warriors, and you are warriors of Turning Point, will never let this happen. You can't let this happen. Every day you defend our values, and you never yield, and you never will yield.
I heard about this. I probably should have did a report and I didn't. But this happened in Florida. This was today. And Ted Cruz didn't show up. I heard Ted Cruz actually showed up in another state or did something else. This was one of the biggest turnouts. CBS, all the news coverage, which a lot of people was here to listen to this speech and stuff like that. That's the biggest news that I heard about this coverage and this thing. I think I played a small cliplet of it yesterday or the day before
To
yesterday.
the radical left. That's why you are the ones who are going to take back America. You are the ones who are going to make America great again. From the earliest days of our republic, every generation has been called to defend America. You always have that defend, but people say it not with the bravado that they say it now, because now they really mean it. We're in big trouble. Today, the greatest threat is not from the outside. The greatest threat is the sick, sinister, and evil forces trying to destroy our nation from within. If you have the right leadership, China's not a problem. If you have the right leadership, Russia's not a problem. They would have never done what they did. Believe me, they would have never done.
That's what you want to hear from your president. That is the reassurance that makes me want to like, man, we need that man back. We need him back, y'all. Hey, this is another show, man. I appreciate people stepping there. I'm not going to hold you that much longer. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever time you're watching this. Please have a good day. Peace.